Hello, welcome back to Simulation Game Development with Tim Bivans. Today we're going to work on Chapter 8 in our textbook. Rather than sit here and type out everything for you this time, I've already done that, and I'm just going to go through some of the things that I think the author overlooked while he was doing this. Right. So here's our project. I'm going to open up the State Manager script. Okay. In this project, he asked you to create several different states by basically copying what you do in begin state and then altering it for each file. Right? There's several things you need to be careful of when you do this. Right? So let me open up each one of these in turn and look at them. All right. The first thing is that you need to make sure at the top of each state that you have these using lines. Right? If you don't have interfaces, it will not work because you're using the interface down here. Also, your namespace in each state needs to be the same, and it needs to reference, as mine does, assembly C# assets, assembly C# states, so that it can find it. If you get an error saying it can't find the state, it's likely because you didn't choose your namespace correctly. So you'll notice in each of my files I have, well, you don't actually need the states line here. You need these three lines right there. Furthermore, in each state you also have to have this private state manager declared just inside your class. And then in your constructor you need a reference to that. Then inside the constructor you have to have manager equals manager ref. What this does is sets up a reference to the state manager file in each one of these states. And you'll see that I have this in each one of these. Lost state, play state, one state. One thing I sent out an email warning you about one thing. The packet pub authors often like to do this, and it's very frustrating for me because I don't work this way. He tells you well before he defines the switch state function, he tells you to type in this code, manager switch state, and tells you to do it in each one of these states. But if you do that and you stop and then you switch back to Unity, you will get errors because you haven't defined this function. If you read your email, you'll see that I suggest skipping ahead and going ahead and defining this function in your state manager file. This function right here. if you define this first and then you call it within each one of these states, code completion will do some of the work for you, and you're less likely to have those errors. So let's see what this does. I'm going to switch to the console so you can see that. Now we'll push play. Alright, you see constructing begin state. Object is of type begin state. And you press play, constructing the play state, and we're in play state. One state, begin state, play state, one state, hitting the space bar here, switch. Right. Now if you were expecting the block to stay in the air until you press play, well, you're correct in that that is coming up next. I asked you to stop on the implementing the pause state before you do that. And so that'll be next week. We'll be taking on the next part of the chapter. And it will implement the pause state so that when you start the game, the block won't fall until you click the play button. So that'll be next time. Please email me with any comments, and I'll see you next time.